we'll start the planning commission meeting for February 27th. Roll call.
Larry Burns.
Here.
Kenneth Farrell.
Present.
John Cresser.
Here.
Michelle Cresser.
Here.
Lawrence Stevens.
Here.
Jamie Snyder, Borough Manager.
Here.
All right. We have to reorganize, so I'm gonna hand the gavel over to Jamie so she can, so we can elect the chairman and the vice chair.
So do we have a nomination for the planning commission chair? If so, please state the name of the person being nominated.
Nominate Ken Farrell.
A nomination for Ken Farrell. Are there any other nominations?
Ken Farrell.
Okay, great. Hearing no other nominations, I'll close the nominations. All those in favor for Ken Farrell being planning commission chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ken is the planning commission chair. Next, we have nomination for planning commission vice chair. State the name and person being nominated.
Larry Stevens.
Larry Stevens, is there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll close the nominations. All those in favor of Larry Stevens for planning commission vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Larry Stevens will be vice chair of the planning commission.
Well, thank you very much, guys. All right, we have a motion to approve the February 27th, 2023 agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion, and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion to approve the December 12th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I just have a couple of corrections too. It's just, so the first page, bottom, first paragraph, it says there will be a change for anyone that, I think it should be a chance.
I just want to circle.
It's in the first sentence. And then on the second page, I think we have an extra A in there. First floor of the building will be commercial and A for the residents, so I think it should be N for the residents and residential apartments. So just strike the A. And then a couple sentences down, the planning commission, the developer disused, that should probably be discussed.
What was that at?
Down, it says the planning commission and developer, and then it says disused. I think that should be
Okay.
discussed. All the concerns with the project.
Mr. Proofreader.
Yeah, thank you.
Had nothing to do, you know. So I just-
Grammarly failing us.
No, I wasn't at the meeting, so I wanted to read it and see what was going on. Okay.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
All right, so do I have a motion for the December 12th meeting minutes as amended tonight?
I make a motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, next week on the agenda, we have the preliminary informal presentation from Diddens Greenhouse.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kirk Klaus, Schlosser and Klaus Consulting Engineers.
You can move that wherever you would like. You don't
I'm
have
kind
to.
of still old school, so I can still bring my board. Diddon Greenhouses has been in the borough for 3 generations. Their property that is currently in use is on the north side of West Vine Street. This is the property on the south side of West Vine Street. The property is bisected by the municipal line, as you can see here by this dashed line. The vast majority of the improvements are being done in Hatfield Township, but we are taking access to that portion of the property through the borough. I was at the Hatfield Township's Planning Commission last week and had pretty much what I'm going to say tonight, to just say hello and go over the concept of the plan. I have review letters from both Hatfield Township's consultants as well as the borough consultants. We have approximately 107,000 square feet of greenhouses I guess I should elaborate on that a bit more. The greenhouse operation that's already in use in the borough, this will be just an expansion of the greenhouses. They are going to be newer technology, but the vast majority of the buildings here will be glass greenhouses. This portion of the structure is a steel building that will have some office space in it, as well as some refrigerated space for various uses within the client's demands and needs. This, like the existing facility, is for wholesale use only. There will never be retail sales. There will never be retail business coming and going from this to this property. This will strictly be wholesale. And to the degree that the greenhouses here will take product from between the two sets of buildings and areas. So I do want to elaborate that this really is wholesale. The traffic in and out of here will be fairly minimal, certainly not non-existent, but it won't be very drastic. You can see that I've colored this plan. Another major component of this plan is the extension of the Liberty Trail. The blue on the plan is the proposed extension of the Liberty Trail that goes from one end to the other. What is in red is the driveway, the loading area, and the proposed parking for the new facility. We'll get back to this a little bit later. As far as the borough engineer's review, I want to highlight some of the major concerns that he had. We have the building here, we have our stormwater management here and inside the building. We have a drainage way through this property that is not defined by FEMA. It is not shown on any of the flood insurance rate maps, but clearly it has a floodplain associated with it. And if you see these two lines here, these are the calculated 100-year floodplain limits that we've calculated to this point. The borough engineer has brought out the fact that not only are we encroaching into the floodplain conservation district, the ordinance also has what's called a riparian corridor conservation district that we need to show. Our proposed improvements, unfortunately, are not permitted in those districts. So we are going to have to make application to the Borough Zoning Hearing Board for placement of fill through the floodplain and through what would be the riparian corridor conservation district. So that's work that we have to do yet. This is very clearly the case of a hardship. There's no way to get to this part of the property other than through those areas, and that we've minimized the amount of fill and encroachment into those districts that we can. And of course, that'll be up to us to prepare our case, make that case to your zoning hearing board, and hopefully get a positive outcome.
Where's that floodplain again?
Here and here.
So isn't the basin in the floodplain as well?
No, it's right on the edge. I purposely put the basin outside of the floodplain, using that line.
Is it floodplain because of the backup of the pipe?
Yes, well, yes. Yes, and clearly, because the floodplain encroaches into the rear yards here, I need to be extremely sensitive not to change that at all with respect to this crossing here. So we will do that work. We actually have two pipes, one that is under the existing driveway as well as the pipe that's under the railroad tracks. Another thing that the borough engineer brought up was parking. I need to do a better job of larger scale, more detail of the intersection of our driveway and West Vine Street. Currently, the applicant is using the space here for some parking. So I'm going to show to the borough engineer that we're accommodating the existing parking and at how, at a much larger scale, this intersection will function both for the driveway as well as the crossing for the trail. Okay, to the trail. And again, this goes to trying to minimize my fill that I'm placing here. McMahon Associates is the traffic consultant for the township. My understanding, they're also the traffic consultant for the borough. The study that was done for the Liberty Trail suggested that it would be 10 foot wide and that it would have a minimum of a 3 foot separation from a driveway. I am currently proposing an 8 foot wide trail immediately up against the 24 foot driveway. I'm mentioning what I'm proposing now, and I'm looking for feedback from the Planning Commission. Clearly, there needs to be some sort of delineation between pedestrian and traffic. So my proposal at this point would be these 3 foot high fiberglass traffic lane delineators. Again, because of my limitation on space, this is what I'm proposing.
Where would this be, in the road?
Between, right on the edge of the driveway and the path, and the trail. So right on this edge between the red and the blue, these delineators will be installed to separate vehicle traffic from pedestrian. There was discussion at the Hatfield Township Planning Commission on this specific issue, and they had a staff meeting prior to the Planning Commission trying to figure out what was the best divider. It could be a fence, it could be a guide rail, it could be a lot of things, it could be a Jersey barrier. There are items that could be utilized, but because of the limitation of space, their conclusion was, and it's not finalized, that their conclusion was that these fiberglass delineators would probably be the best. Now clearly those delineators are not going to prevent a vehicle from veering into it. They are reflective, they will be very easy to see, but if a car gets out of control, it's going to go over. So it brings me back to the point, we're not talking an excessive amount of traffic in and out of here. So
You shouldn't really have any cars back there anyway, should you?
no, employees only. So again, because of the limited traffic, because of the limited space, it was my conclusion that these would be an effective way of separating the driveway from the trail. So I would.
Is the delivery service going in and out, or are there?
There will be trucks in and out, of course.
Other companies come in?
Yeah, I mean, there will be deliveries from outside agency, just for supplies and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, you're wholesale, so I mean, you're basically, do you deliver your product?
Well, most of our pickups will be out of the main location. Occasionally, somebody will go back there for larger quantities or something like that, but the plan is that everything would get shipped on our trucks from this facility to our existing one, and all the pickup traffic would come to the existing one for the most part, but.
So you anticipate mostly it's your internal vehicles
Sure.
moving
Yeah.
between the two?
Correct, yep.
And why did you roll the fence out?
Or
whoever wants to answer.
it will take up more space. It will also, with the posts going down through the blacktop, it'll create the potential for earlier, breakdown of the blacktop.
By that, but I'm just curious.
That,
Have you seen, out on the 202 Parkway?
Yes.
Where the bike path is?
yes.
They use some kind of a real thin.
Yeah, that's terrible. Did you see? More of it is down than is up.
Okay.
I ruled that, I thought of that and ruled it out almost immediately, because after that road opened up, that particular, the divider
Right.
fell apart, it seemed like, right away.
Some sections have like a split, like a small split rail type thing. or-
That, clearly that's an option, and that's why I'm here discussing it,
I was
to
just-
see what you guys.
And the thought of that is, it might help with the safety side of it. You know, with this, if a, God forbid, if a vehicle or something came
A
through there.
fence probably isn't going to prevent
It's
that
not gonna
either.
stop it, but it might give
It,
the person a chance to get out of the way, or the vehicle might realize if they're backing up, you know, something like that. I mean, just throw it out there.
yeah. Other than that, stormwater management, we've got clarified with both of the engineers, both of the township and the borough. This is a unique situation, being a growing and environmentally green use. For myself, it's the first time we're going to collect all of the roof water off of this 107,000 square feet and put it underground, under the building, and reuse it. So that reuse component is massive, and it helps me dramatically with the calculations for our stormwater management. So that
Could I ask you to
is,
repeat that, because I got distracted by stupid thing here.
we're going to reuse the roof water coming off of the roofs of the greenhouses.
All right.
And utilize that for the operation of watering the plants.
Sure.
And that will help me with my stormwater management calculations.
How many gallons do you anticipate?
400,000 gallons a month.
That's excellent.
And I just mentioned, I just asked my client, because it had come up, somebody had said, and I hadn't originally thought of that, well, okay, what about in the wintertime? And he's saying, in the wintertime, this facility is going to be in use, getting ready for springtime, so that their need for watering of the product is 12 months out of the year. It might be slightly less right now. Certainly, they have two main seasons, the spring and the early fall. But beyond that, it's pretty consistent, and they will be utilizing that water 12 months.
How much, you said that there's going to be a cooler box, a refrigerated
Yes.
component of this?
Yes,
Right now, Diddens has, I guess, a couple tractor trailers back there that are refrigerated?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
And, they give off a lot of noise. And,
Yeah, this would eliminate those.
no, I get
Yeah.
that, but compared, the noise compared to what's there now with the temporary versus the permanent, I assume there's gonna be a difference? A
sure,
big difference?
sure, well, if you think about it, just think about those refrigeration units on those trailers are generated with probably a diesel engine. So that's the noise that you're hearing, compared to air conditioning in your home. This is just gonna be refrigeration and air conditioning, it'll be quiet.
Yeah, I mean, currently, part of the existing warehouse already has electric units, and, you know, they're tucked in, you don't even hear them. The plan is that these would go on the rooftop, so, you know, for even any noise that would come off them would, you know, go up instead of out.
Units do make noise now.
What was that?
Units, like the noise I hear every year, what is that from, the tractor trailer?
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll be eliminated?
That's the plan.
Okay.
One other thing that, I don't know if this pertains, but one of the other reasons for potentially something of a less I would like a Jersey barrier, just because it protects, but the problem is you're filling in floodplain-ish stuff. So I think the way he's designing it is trying to minimize that amount that you're filling in, even though we might think a Jersey barrier might be better, safer, whatever, but you're gonna need more fill then, and you're sort of working against yourself. Is that fair to say,
Yes,
right?
you're exactly right. That's why I ruled those out.
Right.
What you said, Ken, with respect to perhaps a fence, and Larry, it's something that we can consider, certainly.
I'm not opposed to what you're proposing. I think as I think we all can probably agree that, God forbid there was a problem, then we can revisit it in the future with something, more than the reflectives. But, I mean, again, the trucks are gonna be driving at 10 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour.
No, less than 25.
Okay.
10 to 15.
And it's obviously mostly day, if not all day work. It's not like we have a third shift that people at night are traveling.
And
in there
they're
too,
not
so.
gonna really be there on the weekend when the trail's used heavily.
Right.
So I'm pretty confident that what you're proposing will service the need of that. But again, if we have a problem, we can certainly revisit that in the future.
My plan also is to have a meeting with Anton and McMahon to discuss in detail what I'm proposing, because he's been involved with the grant that the township has acquired for the extension beyond this property. So one, the connection, then two, this particular issue. He has already suggested in his review to me that we get together and brainstorm.
Right, I got one last thing, and, now, I was at when they were before the zoning hearing board, and certainly, and I made no bones about it, I offered my support as a resident, because I'm one of the adjoining property owners here. And I offered my support, and I truly mean that, for what Diggins does for this community, is tremendous, and I wish a lot more businesses would step up like Diggins does. But when they came through and they clear cut all the trees along the buffer, all of the residents got a letter, and I did not bring it with me tonight, but I will bring it next time, about it was their plan to go through and rebuffer along the stream behind my house, behind all my neighbors' house, and put some additional vegetation. Now, I know you're putting some vegetation around the basin and all that, and I can appreciate that, but according to the letter, you guys were gonna come through and you were gonna put some additional vegetation along there, and that never happened. I'm hoping as part of this, there'll be an amendment to the plan, and we'll put some additional vegetation behind our backyards as well as screening the basin. Because, I mean, again, and I understand it's your property, and I know I've had many conversations with you about it, and you have your holly business, holly trees and stuff like that, and, again, I support you 100%. But I can tell you that now when the guy on Winston puts his Christmas lights up on Thanksgiving, I'm seeing them all. I'm seeing all the headlights. I'm seeing all, and again, your property, not my property. I get all that. But the fact of the matter is, we've never had it before, and it not just affects me. It affects all the property owners, and that's why I think Diddon stepped up and they wrote the letter and says we were gonna get vegetation back there, and I'm hoping at this point now is the time that that's gonna happen.
Sure. And if there's obviously there's trees that are planted there now.
No, I get that, but just if we can get something to infill, and again, I get it's not gonna grow tomorrow.
Sure.
And you're not gonna put, 12-foot pine trees in there, but at least if we can get something that can start growing, so that in a few years, I'm not gonna see my neighbor's Christmas lights on Thanksgiving, and I'm not gonna see his headlights as he pulls into his driveway, and it's just a quality of life thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
This is a question that isn't related to that, and that collection of water, on your present property, do you receive enough water to water the plants?
You mean like rainwater and stuff?
Yeah.
We do some,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not, you know, enough to maintain what we need.
Yeah, just a
Sure.
curious question.
Yeah,
This facility will be newer technology than what currently exists across the street.
yeah, cause even with rainwater, it still needs to be treated to be reused. You know, to make sure that there's no pathogen or, cause who knows what sticks on the roof and then comes down the gutter. So the reuse, it's not as simple as just pouring it out and then putting it back on, you know, it has to go through treatment and, so we can clean the water in order to reuse it for the plants.
You anticipate using less water than you currently do from outside sources? Meaning,
Well, right now, we're at a well,
oh, okay,
yeah, we have well water,
Got it.
and, you know, we still are gonna have to use that just for, you know, if it doesn't rain, it doesn't rain, so,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we're still.
Okay, now that answered my question. I was thinking how much money we make, you know, between sewer and everything else. Okay.
This project will be tied into public water and sewer. There will be a small bathroom involved in that building, but nothing major.
Yeah, your domestic water is public sewer, public water, but your irrigation water is with the well.
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
We actually have it piped both ways. So we've had a pump problem, our pump goes out, you have to switch to borough water. So you always try to have redundancy. So our redundancy is that we use borough water. There's literally a switch, not a switch, but a couple valves and you go from one to the other. So, I would imagine deeply that we would pipe it a similar way that we don't have enough of our own stuff, we switch. So,
But that's in a rare instance. That's my presentation.
Larry, is there any more questions?
No, that's great. That's,
You, Mr. Stevens? Mr. President? Ms. President? All right, so, as I understand it, this was kind of a quote-unquote informal presentation.
Sure.
You're gonna go back, kind of make the comments, hopefully revise the landscape plan, and, come back, next month, the following month?
No. What my plan is, since I need to go to your zoning hearing board
Okay.
now,
Okay,
my plan is to get that done and out of the
and
way.
then come back.
So it may be a little while till I'm back before you again with cleaned up plans from a stormwater management standpoint, from a landscaping standpoint, but most importantly, to the zoning issues and the parking that will be resolved by the time I see you.
And it's not scheduled for the zoning hearing board, is it?
No, it is not. We have not made application yet. I need to do a better job of preparing the existing and the proposed conditions to make sure everything's good.
Zoning hearing board has one application, and this will be the second application for the year?
Yes,
Oh,
there
overtime.
are, right, yeah, there are, two more people that are interested, but their applications haven't been submitted yet. So there's some scuttlebutt that other people are gonna come, so we could be slammed at the end.
Four applications in 1 year.
Yeah,
wow.
whoa, that's
That's busy.
overtime,
This
that's,
is world
that's
coming
big.
to.
we have to have 12 meetings this year.
Yeah, that's big.
I have to get you back on the.
yeah, I'm on it, I'm just an alternate. Obviously with this, I'd recuse myself.
Is there any other questions?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you can push it closer to the.
right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next on
Thank
the,
you.
next on the agenda, we have updates, old business.
Edinburgh Square, a quick update is we released their third escrow, or Borough Council did 2 meetings ago. We still have some escrow for grading and seeding. I saw them making some improvements out there still. So he'll probably come back for his final release in the next few months. I think it's probably more in the summer when we see how things are growing. So that's the update on Edinburgh. B, Bennett's Court update is we're currently working on a developer's agreement for that. And then they were hoping to have a shovel in the ground late spring-ish. I think it depends on how the developer's agreement goes. They still have some items to like button up on the plans. 43 Roosevelt C, that's basically in the same process as Bennett's Court. We're working on a developer's agreement as they received final approval. Might have been almost 2 years ago from Borough Council. So we're working on the developer's agreement for them. D, 200 North Main Street allows housing development. I haven't heard anything. I know they were waiting to hear back on their tax credits after the beginning of the year. Bill Brown said he would reach out when he heard anything about their tax credits for the property. I do know I shared with the Planning Commission that they did get some grant money to develop that property. So as soon as they hear back on tax credits, I would assume that would start to move forward. And they would come back with something more formal plans. I think when they came before, it was just a sketch plan for phase 1, when they went to Planning Commission and Council, so they'll be submitting some more formal plans. 23 North Main Street, the Arbor Grove development. They had come to Planning Commission, and Planning Commission sent some feedback. Right now, they had requested another consultant meeting, so that's where we're at. Their consultants reached out to me and asked if our consultants, which would be solicitor, engineer, and borough staff, could get together and have another meeting, obviously about what the Planning Commission had said, and see if we can move forward from there. So I had sent some dates out to the solicitor and engineer today, and hopefully get that on the schedule in the next couple weeks, and move that forward. Yes, yeah, that was like the proposed 4-story, 20-some units.
All right, new business, zoning hearing board application for 14 North Market Street.
There's a zoning hearing board scheduled for March 23rd at 7 p.m. here in council chambers for 14 North Market Street. They're asking for a variance to change the office use to residential use on the first floor, and they're in the core commercial district. So that's not allowed in the commercial district. You have to have commercial on the bottom, residential on the top, so they're asking for a variance for that.
Which property is this?
Almost on like the corner when you're going around, like by like across from, I guess down farther from, I don't say where Howard's property is, Old Snyder's. Yeah. Yeah.
The
That lot.
doctor's office, is the doctor's office?
Yeah.
The doctor's office,
Yeah,
across from Santucci's.
yeah, up a little bit.
Not the old Enfield.
No, next, it has the cone,
Yeah, this is
Next
the
building,
turrets.
right?
yeah, yes,
Should pull it up for it.
yeah, she'll pull it up for you.
Yes, she's looking through.
Yeah, I wanted to say it has the, yeah, I called it the cone roof, that's about it. That's right, does it kinda look like it?
Yeah.
That's the right name. The architectural name is not cone roof.
I was the one that was around the building, on the corner.
Yeah.
Around the part on it.
So that's, so it's not quite at the, okay. I didn't realize that was all, so I thought it was always that.
Yeah, I do know they have apartments at the top,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Ned lives in the back.
Yeah, on, their address is Fred's, yes.
Yeah, on the back of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that, they just wanna change it, I think it's like 2-unit residential upgrade, and existing utilities, kitchens, bathrooms. Yeah, they have like a little cottage out back, I would say. So they'll be headed to zoning hearing. Borough Council talked about it, Borough Council decided to just stay neutral, they're not gonna send a letter in support or a letter of disagree, and they are not gonna send, the solicitor.
I'm sorry, I mean, obviously, I think Borough Council staying neutral. probably in our best interest to see, but I would be in favor of it. I don't see that as being a problem, and it's currently not office now, correct?
Yeah,
I don't think it's.
I thought that the bottom, and I don't know, I thought that the bottom currently was vacant. That wasn't, I just know there's I know the lady that lives upstairs, and I know the gentleman that lives out back. Yeah, so I think Borough Council was like, yeah, sure, but we're not opposed to it, and Kate didn't have to go.
It was a house,
Yeah.
It was a house, and then it got lumped in the core commercial.
Exactly,
Yeah, I think just how the district was, it's just one of those that gets lumped in where the
It
district
was there
is.
before that was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So for the 23rd, North Main is for commercial too?
Isn't it?
yes, it is.
Okay, so just as a thought, if somebody got approved on this, would the other guy say, I don't need, let's say he wants to develop that, he was talking about stores underneath, would he just go office buildings? All right, would he just go, since I got one done, can I just do apartments or something like that?
I would assume he could go to zoning hearing board and ask for whatever variance he would want. Like, if he wants to go to zoning hearing board and ask for the variance, he can. I believe the conversation that originally took place was, he wasn't interested in going to zoning, so he was gonna try to make it fit for the property. And I just don't know if right now it would fit for where it is, speaking of 23.
That would be new
But-
construction too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Maybe-
Right.
Yeah.
That's a different.
This is-
Yeah.
I mean, that
That's-
looks like a house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is almost almost grandfathered.
But this
Yeah.
is the opposite, this one is going from business to residential. The other one, out by the post office, would be going from commercial to residential, so it's kind of the opposite, but I don't see a problem with that,
No, that's it.
and having them go to the zoning hearing board, then we don't have to change the zoning and do spot zoning.
It might make it make.
And the zoning goes with the property, so it can stay residential, but if somebody ever wants to come back and make it commercial, they can still do that, because that's the underlying zoning district. So the borough almost gets the best of both worlds.
So that's scheduled for March 23rd at 7 PM here.
There's no action items. We have our next meeting April 3rd at 7:00, if there is no business. Which
Yeah,
may or may not be.
Right, I'm gonna say, right now, there's no plans that are currently being reviewed. That's, Dins is really the newest submittal that we've had, besides 23 North Main, which was just a sketch plan. So he would have to go through a 30-day process and everything, so I don't see us having anything unless something comes in the next few days. I'll keep you posted.
That didn't think so. Probably good for the neighbors over there if they get quiet. Cause you can hear that home, you know.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. No,
No, I'm.
do I have it wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I hope that when the lights are shining and everything, then it doesn't turn out to be another issue, but we will know.
What?
When they have lights,
What's all it up back there?
if it gets all
Give
lit
me
up.
back, like, back behind his house.
Right. Oh, okay.
Or just if they're growing stuff, and they, sometimes they do keep lights on. All in all, it's a good project.
Maybe they could offer you, since you live,
All right.
training in Alaska or something like that, you know, get used to it.
Is there,
6 months.
is there anything else for the good of the cause? Our next meeting is April 3rd. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposing, ayes have it.